The hidden game: how manipulators control you without you realizing it. What if I told you that someone in your life is manipulating you right now without you even noticing? Not with threats, not with violence, but with psychological tricks so subtle that you don't even realize they're happening. Because real manipulators don't attack directly. They plant ideas in your head. They make you question your own reality. They control your emotions without ever raising their voice. And by the time you figure out what's happening, it's too late. This is the dark world of psychological manipulation. Manipulators, whether they are toxic partners, controlling friends, or ruthless business leaders, use proven psychological techniques to get what they want. And in this series, we're exposing 10 of the most powerful tricks that you see so that next time, you'll see them coming before it's too late. The gaslighting technique that makes you doubt your own memories. The foot in the door trick that slowly traps you in their control. The fear and relief cycle that makes people obey without thinking. And the ultimate psychological tactic: how manipulators make you betray yourself. But before we begin, let me ask you this. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused, guilty, or powerless without knowing why? If so, you've already been manipulated. Gaslighting: how manipulators rewrite your reality. Imagine this. You clearly remember a conversation where someone promised you something. But when you bring it up later, they look at you and say, "I never said that." You must be imagining things. You always overreact. At first, you're confident in your memory. But after hearing it enough times, you start to doubt yourself. Maybe I really did misunderstand. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe the problem isn't them, it's me. And just like that, you've been gaslighted. Gaslighting is one of the most dangerous dark psychology tricks because it makes you question your own reality. It's not just about lying. It's about making you believe the lie. And once a manipulator controls your perception of reality, they control you. How gaslighting works: the step-by-step breakdown. Gaslighting is not one lie. It's a system of psychological conditioning. Here's how it works. Step 1. The manipulator creates confusion. They deny things you know are true. They twist past events to make themselves look innocent. They act offended, as if you're the one attacking them. This makes you second-guess your own memory. Step 2. They reinforce the doubt. They say things like, "You always get things wrong." They tell you, "Everyone else sees it my way, why don't you?" They repeat their version of events so many times that it starts to feel true. Your brain starts thinking, "If they're so sure, maybe I really am mistaken." Step 3. You start to rely on them for reality. You stop trusting your own judgment. You hesitate before speaking up. You start asking the manipulator what's real and what's not. And once that happens, they own your perception of reality. The psychology behind gaslighting: why it works so well. Gaslighting works because it preys on your deepest fears. The fear of being wrong. No one wants to believe they're misremembering things. The fear of conflict. It's easier to just agree than to keep arguing. The fear of losing the relationship. If you challenge them too much, you risk losing them completely. And the most terrifying part? Your own brain starts working against you. When someone repeats a false narrative enough times, your memory starts reconstructing itself to match their version. This is called the illusory truth effect, a psychological phenomenon, where the more we hear something, the more we believe it, even if it's false. And manipulators know this. Real-life gaslighting examples: how it happens every day. Gaslighting isn't just something that happens in toxic relationships. It's used everywhere by bosses, politicians, media, and even entire industries. The cheating partner. You find messages that suggest they're being unfaithful. When you confront them, they say, "You're being paranoid. You're always looking for drama." Now, instead of them being guilty, you feel like the bad guy for even questioning them. The controlling boss. You bring up an issue in a meeting one they explicitly told you to handle. They respond, "I never said that. You must have misunderstood." Now your confidence is shattered. The media and political manipulation. A leader makes a statement. Later, they deny ever saying it despite video evidence. But by then, their supporters have heard the lie so many times, they believe it over reality. Gaslighting is used by anyone who wants to control people's perception of the truth. How to break free from gaslighting. Gaslighting is only effective if you doubt yourself. So the key to escaping it? Rebuild your trust in your own mind. Step 1. Keep a record, write down key conversations. Take screenshots. Keep emails and texts as evidence. This way, when someone says, "I never said that," you have proof. Step 2. Trust your gut. If you feel like something is off, it probably is. Manipulators want you to second-guess yourself. Refuse to play their game. Step 3. Set boundaries and walk away. Gaslighters thrive on access. The less time you spend around them, the less influence they have over you. Step 4. Talk to a trusted third party. Manipulators want to isolate you, so you only hear their version of the truth. Reality check what's happening by talking to someone outside the situation. The ultimate question: how many times have you been gaslighted? Now that you understand gaslighting, think back. When was the last time someone made you question something you knew was true? Have you ever been manipulated into doubting yourself? Is there someone in your life right now who always makes you feel confused and uncertain? Because if so, you've already been a target. And if gaslighting is just one of the 10 dark psychology tricks manipulators use, what else are they doing? The foot in the door technique: how manipulators slowly trap you. Have you ever agreed to do a small favor for someone, and then, before you knew it, you were doing things you never wanted to do? You didn't feel forced. You weren't threatened. Yet somehow, you ended up doing exactly what they wanted. That wasn't an accident. That was the foot in the door technique, one of the most dangerous manipulation tricks ever discovered. And the worst part, it works on almost everyone. The science behind the foot in the door technique. In the 1960s, psychologists Jonathan Friedman and Scott Fraser conducted a famous experiment that revealed something shocking about human psychology. They went to random homes and asked people to place a small sticker on their window that said, "Drive safely." Most people said yes. 2 weeks later, the researchers returned, but this time, they asked for something much bigger. Would you be willing to put a huge, ugly "Drive safely" billboard in your front yard? And guess what? People who had agreed to the small sticker were 76% more likely to agree to the huge billboard. Why? Because of commitment bias. Once we say yes to something small, our brain tries to stay consistent with that decision. And manipulators exploit this psychological weakness every day. How manipulators use this trick on you. The foot in the door technique works everywhere in relationships, sales, the workplace, and even politics. Here's how they do it. 1. In toxic relationships. A manipulative partner doesn't start by controlling your life. First, they ask you to text them when you get home. Innocent, right? Then, they ask you to check in every time you go out. Then, they start getting upset if you don't respond fast enough. Then, they make you feel guilty for spending time with friends. And before you realize it, you're isolated. They never asked for total control at once. They took it piece by piece until it was too late to resist. 2. In business and sales. Ever wondered why free trials exist? A company lets you try their service for free. You get used to using it. When the trial ends, you feel like you can't live without it. That's why businesses never ask for a big commitment up front. They start small because once you're in, you're hooked. 3. In politics and social movements. No dictator ever says, "Give me total control." First, they introduce a harmless new rule. Then, they justify more restrictions for safety. Then, people get used to being controlled. Then, the government can pass extreme laws because no one resists anymore. People don't accept huge changes overnight. But tiny, gradual changes? That's how entire societies get manipulated. Why this trick works so well: the psychology of commitment. So why is it so hard to say no once you've already said yes? Cognitive dissonance: your brain hates feeling inconsistent. Sunk cost fallacy: you think, "I've already said yes, I might as well continue." Gradual conditioning: each step feels small, so you don't notice the bigger pattern. And this is why manipulators never start with a big request. They start with something tiny. Because once you're in the cycle, it's incredibly hard to break free. How to protect yourself from this trick? The foot in the door technique only works if you don't recognize it. So how do you stop it? 1. Recognize the pattern. If someone keeps increasing their demands over time, stop and think. Did you ever agree to this at the beginning? Do you feel like you're being pushed step by step into something bigger? If yes, you're being manipulated. 2. Don't be afraid to say no even after saying yes. Many people feel guilty backing out after they've already agreed to something small. But remember, you are allowed to change your mind. A manipulator wants you to think one yes means you have to say yes forever. But that's a lie. 3. Ask yourself, what's their end goal? Manipulators don't make random requests. Every small ask is leading to a bigger ask. If someone keeps slowly getting more control over you, ask yourself why. Because once you see the end game, you can stop the game. The real question: how many times have you been tricked? Now that you understand the foot in the door technique, think back. Have you ever agreed to a small favor only to get trapped in a bigger commitment? Have you ever felt like someone was slowly increasing their control over you? Have you ever wondered, how did I even get into this situation? If so, have you already been manipulated? And if this is just one of the 10 dark psychology tricks used by manipulators, what else are they doing? The fear and relief trick: how manipulators break you before they control you. What if I told you that the most powerful way to control someone isn't persuasion? It's fear. Manipulators don't just ask for obedience. They create a situation where you feel trapped, anxious, or helpless, so desperate for relief that you'll do anything to escape the discomfort. And the moment you hit your breaking point, they become your savior. They offer the solution to the very problem they created. And because they rescued you don't even realize they were controlling you the entire time. This is the fear and relief technique, one of the darkest and most effective psychological tricks ever used in manipulation. And once you understand it, you'll see it everywhere. The science behind the fear and relief manipulation. In 1994, psychologists Delinsky and Norat conducted an experiment that exposed how easily humans can be controlled with this technique. Participants were randomly stopped by police while walking down the street. They were told they were being investigated for illegal activity. The officer deliberately made them nervous, then suddenly smiled and said, "Never mind, you're free to go." At that moment, participants felt a wave of relief. And what happened next? The officer immediately asked them for a favor, and most people agreed without hesitation. Why? Because when people go from extreme fear to sudden relief, their brains stop resisting. They become vulnerable, compliant, and eager to cooperate. And manipulators use this trick to control people every day. How manipulators use the fear and relief technique on you. This technique is used in relationships, sales, politics, and even cults because fear is one of the strongest human emotions. Here's how they do it. 1. In toxic relationships, they create tension and fear. Maybe they start a fight for no reason. Maybe they go silent for hours, leaving you anxious. Just when you feel completely broken, they suddenly forgive you, shower you with love, and say everything is fine. You feel so relieved that you cling to them even harder. Over time, you become addicted to the cycle. You start walking on eggshells just to avoid triggering their anger. And just like that, they own your emotions. 2. In business and sales. A company convinces you that your computer has a virus. Fear, but luckily they sell an antivirus software that can fix it. Relief. A car salesman tells you that the car you want is almost sold out. Fear, but good news, if you act now, they can hold it for you. Relief. A beauty brand tells you that you're aging too fast. Fear, but their expensive cream will make you look young again. Relief. In all these cases, the problem was exaggerated or even created by the manipulator. But once fear takes over, logic disappears. 3. In politics and the media. Politicians use fear campaigns to make you think society is falling apart. Then, they tell you that they are the only ones who can fix it. You become dependent on them to feel safe. The media floods you with panic-inducing headlines about danger, disease, or war. Then, they provide expert solutions that keep you tuned in and consuming their content. It's all about controlling your emotions, because once you are scared, you stop thinking for yourself. Why fear works: the psychology of emotional hijacking. Fear is not just an emotion. It's a biological survival response. When you feel threatened, your brain shuts down rational thinking and switches to fight or flight mode. Manipulators take advantage of this. They trigger your fear to make you feel powerless. They relieve your fear to make you feel grateful. Then, they control your decisions while you're emotionally weak. And because your brain craves safety over logic, you don't even realize you're being played. How to break free from fear manipulation. The fear and relief technique only works when you react emotionally. So the key to escaping it? Stay calm, stay aware, stay in control. 1. Recognize when fear is being used against you. If someone is deliberately making you anxious, stop and ask, are they exaggerating a problem to make me feel helpless? Are they the only ones offering a solution? Do I feel pressure to act immediately? If yes, you're being manipulated. 2. Slow down your decisions. Fear makes people act impulsively. Never make a big decision while in a state of panic. Take a step back, breathe, Wait until your emotions settle, then decide. 3. Question the source of the fear. Is the threat real or just psychological? Is someone benefiting from making you scared? Is the solution only available through the person making you anxious? If the answer is yes, it's a manipulation trap. The ultimate question: how often have you been controlled by fear? Think back. Have you ever made a decision based on panic, then regretted it later? Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle of anxiety and relief with someone? Have you ever been rushed into a choice because you were afraid? If so, have you already experienced this trick? And if this is just one of the 10 dark psychology techniques used by manipulators, what else are they doing? How to break free from psychological manipulation. By now, you've seen just how dangerous dark psychology can be. Gaslighting makes you doubt your own reality. The foot in the door technique traps you into doing things you never wanted to do. Fear and relief breaks your defenses and makes you grateful to the very person manipulating you. And these are only a few of the tricks manipulators use. The worst part? Most people never realize it's happening until it's too late. So what can you do? The ultimate defense against manipulation. Manipulators rely on ignorance and emotional reactions. If you want to protect yourself, you need to develop 3 essential skills. 1. Self-awareness. Know when you're being played. If you feel confused, guilty, or pressured, stop and ask, who benefits from me feeling this way? Keep track of suspicious conversations. If someone always makes you doubt yourself, question why. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. 2. Emotional control. Never let fear or guilt decide for you. Manipulators win when you react without thinking. Before making any major decision, ask yourself, am I choosing this, or am I being pushed into it? Learn to pause, breathe, step back, and analyze before acting. 3. Set boundaries. Cut off the manipulator's power. Manipulators test your limits one step at a time. The sooner you say no, the harder it is for them to trap you. If someone makes you feel small, weak, or powerless, walk away. Remember, real relationships don't rely on manipulation. If someone truly cares about you, they won't need tricks to keep you close. The final question: are you still in control? After learning these tricks, ask yourself, have you ever been gaslighted into doubting your own memories? Have you ever been slowly pulled into something bigger without realizing it? Have you ever made a decision based on panic, guilt, or pressure only to regret it later? If so, have you already been manipulated? But now you see the game. And once you recognize manipulation, it stops working. What to watch next? If you found this eye-opening, there's even more to uncover. Because dark psychology isn't just used by individuals, it's used by entire industries. In our next video, we expose how social media and digital marketing manipulate your psychology without you even realizing it. If you want to stay in control of your mind, watch now. Because once you understand these techniques, no one will ever manipulate you again.